No, not this.
No.
No.
Sorry.
What should have been a romantic honeymoon turns into a fight for survival after Paul finds his wife naked in the woods with strange marks on her thighs. After their wedding, Paul and Bee go to a secluded cabin owned by Bee's family to celebrate their honeymoon. The cabin is filled with old furniture and a bearskin, reflecting Bee's father's love for hunting. That night, they fall asleep after an intimate moment, and a strange light shines on them while they sleep. The next day, they visit a nearby restaurant, where an angry man says the restaurant is closed. Bee recognizes him as her childhood friend, Will, and they catch up until his wife, Annie, appears, demanding they leave. Will apologizes, mentioning Annie's recent health problems. That night, Bee appears unsettled, and Paul notices she's distracted. They eventually fall asleep, but Paul wakes up to flickering lights. Planning to fish at dawn, he steps outside, but finds it still dark. Realizing Bee is missing, he searches the cabin and finds the back door open. He discovers Bee in the woods, disoriented and undressed. Back at the cabin, she tells him she was only sleepwalking and assures him she's fine. The next morning, Paul notices Bee acting strangely. She's clumsy, forgetful, and doesn't react to things she usually finds funny, like him playing with a frog. She even enters the cold lake, which she normally hates. Paul becomes worried when he sees unusual marks on her thighs, which she dismisses as mosquito bites, though her evasiveness alarms him. Determined to find out what's going on, Paul revisits the spot where he found Bee in the woods. He discovers her nightgown, covered in a strange substance, and sees multiple footprints, suggesting she wasn't alone that night. Back at the cabin, he catches her rehearsing conversations in the mirror. Later, she uses practiced phrases during intimacy, deepening his suspicion. When he asks about her honeymoon gown, she claims it's in the laundry, which unsettles him further. Unable to sleep, Paul watches Bee leave the room at night. When she returns, she claims she only went for water. Later, a strange light fills the cabin, prompting Paul to investigate with a gun. He sees a figure in the woods, but loses it and fires a warning shot. Frustrated, he confronts Bee about the night she was in the woods, suspecting she wasn't alone. Bee insists she's telling the truth, but Paul accuses her of lying and suspects Will's involvement. After a heated argument, Bee accuses Paul of overreacting and ruining their honeymoon. They spend the night apart, both feeling uneasy. The next morning, Paul catches Bee writing something down, but, when questioned, she brushes it off. Examining her thigh marks again, Paul notices they're worsening, which intensifies his worry. On a boat, Paul suggests leaving the cabin, but Bee insists she's fine and wants to stay. During intimacy, Bee suddenly starts bleeding and brushes it off as her period, though Paul knows it's not her cycle time. Determined to get answers, Paul confronts Will and meets Annie, who behaves like Bee and has the same thigh marks. Annie warns Paul to leave before it's too late. Paul finds Will's bloody hat by the water and sneaks into their house, discovering unsettling notes about Annie and surveillance footage of her entering the woods, attracted by the strange lights. He also finds the same substance he saw on Bee's nightgown, deepening his fears. Confronting Bee, he demands answers. Bee admits she wants to protect him but can't explain. Paul restrains her to the bed and questions her about their relationship, realizing she's forgetting crucial details. She asks him to get intimate again, but Paul discovers a worm-like creature between her legs, confirming something has taken over her body. Bee reveals that the night she went into the woods, she followed strange lights and encountered shadowy figures who impregnated her and implanted a creature inside her. She claims she's still herself, but the creature is consuming her from inside. Frantic, Paul tries to leave, but Bee, accepting their fate, insists they stay and suggests watching their wedding video together. As another blinding light fills the cabin, Bee strikes Paul unconscious and drags him to the lake, tying an anchor to his legs, believing she's hiding him underwater to protect him. Unable to escape, Paul drowns. Afterward, Bee is shown deteriorating, her skin peeling away. In the final scenes, she watches their wedding video alone before joining a similarly transformed Annie as they walk toward the mysterious lights. The movie ends as they disappear into the forest.